My name is Daniel Britten and I'm obsessed with flavour. After years of working in kitchens with global cuisines, I decided that my route was definitely British food, but essentially combining the tastes and flavours from around the world. In this masterclass, I'm going to show you some of my best dishes with that global twist. So let's get on with it. This is going to be our pan-fried fillet of sea bass with a tomato, chorizo and cannellini bean stew. So first things first, we need to take our fillet off of the fish. So we're just going to cut behind the head. There we go. It's important to have a very sharp knife when you're doing the fish. And you just want to run it down the back nice and gently. Let the knife do the work. There we go, all the way down to the tail end. And then we're just going to use the knife to go through over the rib cage. When you're picking your fish from your fishmonger, always go for the one with the brightest eyes. This is beautiful, beautiful and fresh. And if you don't want to fillet it yourself, you can always ask your fishmonger to do so. We'll just take this off the rib cage. There we go. And then we're just going to trim that up for presentation purposes. We'll take the belly off. You don't have to be this chefy, but it's hard to stop. So, when we turn the fish over, we're going to take our fingers here, we're just going to pinch it on the sides, and then we're just going to run the knife over the top. What this does, it helps us with the fish not sticking to the pan. It stops it curling up as well, so it looks good on the plate. You can do as many scores as you like. You can go super fine as well. There we go. So we'll just get our pan on for that. So you want to start off in a warm pan. Don't want to start off in too hot of a pan, as your skin will cook a bit too quickly. But what we're going to do is cook this nice and slow, and whilst that's cooking we can get the stew on. There we go. A little bit of seasoning on your fish. You just want to hold it down a little bit as it starts to curl up when it hits the pan. If it curls up, then it won't cook the skin all the way down the middle, so it won't be crispy. So we just hold it down until the heat gets to it, and you'll find that the fish flattens out. There we go. Right, you can hear that sizzling, that means we're cooking. Just give the board a wipe. This is a really simple dish, quite homely. It's a nice sort of evening snack. We're doing a nice tomato, cannellini bean and chorizo stew. So we take our onion, add a touch of rapeseed oil. I always use rapeseed oil, guys. It's an English oil. We're supporting our farmers. We don't need to import anything that we make in this country, so it's very important to try and support and produce from Britain. There we go. Chop the onion. You can chop it how you like. You don't have to dice it. It's going to be quite a rustic dish, so we can just slice it down nice and thin like that. That's going to go in our pan. There we go. Cook the onions down, add a bit of salt. Don't need to worry about adding too much salt at the beginning on the fish and the onions, because as you cook, the salt disappears a little bit. So you add a bit at the beginning, taste it, add a bit at the end. There we go. Just roughly chop your garlic. So you can hear our fish is cooking. Because we've got it on a low temperature, it's safely cooking all the while we're doing the stew. So we're saving time. So it's, like I said, this is like a 15-minute dish, if that. We're going to take our tomatoes. So we're adding the tomatoes now so we can sort of cook out the rawness and almost make them into a bit of a sauce. Take our lovely chorizo. I mean, if there's one thing the Spanish do, they do good chorizo. And I think this is from Malaga, so it's the good stuff. We're just removing that skin, we don't want to eat that bit. Give that a little stir around, keep it moving. There you go. And we're also going to add our smoked paprika. Now I use smoked paprika basically because its flavour is amazing. I love it. It adds a real beautiful smokiness to the dish. And you know, this is kind of Mediterranean in style, and that's what you want it to taste like. You're on holiday. So there we go. Smoked paprika's cooked out a bit there. We're just going to check on our fish. Lovely. So we're looking for a nice colour on the fish. But at the moment we're looking good. That's because we're cooking it low and slow. So as it cooks, as the temperature rises up through the fillet of the fish, you'll see that it's going to go white around the sides, still a little bit translucent on top. But if it's translucent, you know it's not cooked through, so that's good. We know where we are with the fish. Just going to chop up our chorizo. Now I'm doing this into small chunks so that you get more with every mouthful. One bit. There we go. If you want to spice it up, there are spicy options as well, so you can always get a spicier chorizo. You can add fresh chili to this dish, you can add chili flakes. Personally, I'm not very good with the old spice, so I prefer a bit more of a mild flavour. A bit of background heat is not a problem. There we are. I'm just going to give that a stir through. You can see the onions and tomatoes are starting to break down a little bit now. There we are. And we've got our stock here. So our stock's already warm, so we don't need to worry about putting cold stock. Never put cold stock into a dish because it cools down the dish. You don't know where you are with cooking it then. So we just add a little bit of warm stock. There we go, creates our lovely little stew. I'm going to add the cannellini beans as well. So the cannellini beans are going in. These are already cooked cannellini beans. You can buy your own, dried, just soak them overnight and then cook them for a little bit longer. But like I say, this is about ease. It's a nice easy dish. You guys can cook it at home for two of you. 15-20 minute dish, nice and easy. There we go. So that's now cooking beautifully. We're going to check our fish. Now look at that caramelisation on the skin. Fantastic. I'll turn the heat off on the fish now. Add our spinach to our stew. The spinach will wilt down in that heat. And we're going to take the fish out to rest. So literally it's been on that side for about 20 seconds. It's going to carry on cooking for a few minutes. With all your meats, we rest chicken, we rest beef, lamb, everything gets rested because it carries on cooking. The heat is still in the food. So just give that a stir. Got all the lovely colours in here as well, the red onions, tomatoes, beans, the spinach. And we're just going to reduce that down to thicken up a touch. We can have a little taste as well. I'll grab a spoon. We're just going to taste our sauce. That's cool. So because we added salt at the beginning, we've added salt to the fish. It's reducing down. The flavour's already there. You can taste the chorizo in there as well. And that's releasing some of its rich oils and garlic. And now the spinach is wilted down beautifully. We're probably ready to start plating up, I think. There we go. So for me, stew is bowl food. So it's got to go in a bowl. You put it on a plate, it'll go out to the edges of the plate. That's not what we want. So, grab myself a serving spoon. Goes without saying, probably want a nice bit of crusty bread to go with this, just to soak up those juices at the end. There we go, make sure we get plenty of that chorizo in there. The chefy bit, you've got to have a nice clean plate to serve, very important. Right, then we lift our sea bass onto the top. Nice crispy skin. Just don't know if you can pick that up. Sounds good to me. And there we have it. Seabass, cannellini bean, tomato and chorizo stew.